Changing the donation contest to a community drive is an overall net loss to the community. I'm not donating any gold this time round, and here's why I think you shouldn't either. How's it going, guys? I'm your host Korban Gaming, and welcome back to another very special Adventure Quest video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the changes to the annual gold donation contest. So, for those of you who aren't aware, we have two donation events every year, one during summer for tokens only, and one during the winter for both gold and tokens. Normally, these are done in a contest format whereby you need to be the top whatever number donor in order to win the items. In past years, we've seen the top cut increased from top 15 to top 25 and now even top 50, while still maintaining the competition format, and I think this is a good change to incentivize donating from more players as well as allowing a greater number of players to get these rewards for less. This time round, however, they decided to scrap the contest format for the gold donation entirely. What we have instead is a community goal that everyone has to work towards to unlock pieces of their reward. The top 100 gets a color custom variant of the reward, but the effects remain exactly the same. So, I'm going to look at this from a couple different points of view. Let's start with the pay to win players and the hardcore players who farm gold all year round. This change to these players are straight up loss. There's no other way to put it. If we look at the statistics from past years, you will realize that a majority of the total amount donated comes from the top players and not from the hundreds of smaller donations. What incentive is there for someone to continue to put in the work to farm if someone else who only plays 5 minutes in the whole year can just come in anytime during the contest and get the exact same reward? I believe in working hard to get the items you want. There's also that satisfaction behind it, and I think you'll be able to appreciate the item much more knowing that you put in the work to get it. Now, you might say the top 100 gets a color custom variant. That's cool, right? And to that, I say no, or at least not enough. Adventure Quest isn't like Dragon Fable or AQ Worlds. We don't have a cosmetic show system in the game where we can equip one strong, ugly looking item and show a nicer looking item on top of it. Cosmetics in this game don't matter if the item has shitty effects. This will change, however, if we do get such a cosmetic system. But this is likely a very large project, and given the number of backlogged projects and delays we have, it's not likely we'll ever see such a system being implemented, at least not anywhere in the near future. So, a color custom variant serves very little purpose apart from flex, and that's even assuming the item has good effects to begin with. For those who don't know, PD has been the top gold donor for multiple years in a row at this point, and is probably one of the most hardcore gold farmers in the entire game period. He started a thread on the forums a few months back, but has now since been deleted, asking for some quality of life changes to the contest, notably the ability to donate gold without an annoying 20-second cooldown, similar to how token donations are done. Unfortunately, Holo said that it wasn't possible, but in that very same thread, Holo announced this change to the donation event, even though that wasn't the original purpose of PD's thread, and neither did he ask for it anywhere else to my knowledge. PD then released a statement as a follow-up recently, so let's take a look at what he has to say regarding this change. You can find this statement just by looking at the top gold donors event page. Okay, he literally changed his name to the URL of this tinyurl.com/AQBlackholeSun. Okay, or you can pause the video to read it whenever you want to. To summarize, he feels pretty jaded because of all the arguing regarding balance in the game. PD for the most part advocates for quality of life changes, most of which have little or almost nothing to do with game balance, and I support almost every single one of these changes he pushes for because they genuinely make the game better to play. However, most of these changes aren't possible because of all the restrictions that the staff has to work with, which just sucks, on top of them being bumped lower on the priority list, presumably because there's a lot more noise surrounding item balancing. He says he'll continue to stick around, though not sure for how much longer, and it's still a question mark if he'll continue to farm as hard as he usually does for next year's event. Now, there's no indication anywhere that suggests that this change in stance is due to the change in the donation format, but I do personally believe that it has some part to play for the reasons mentioned above. This guy contributes a huge amount to the total pool every year. If he drops the baton, who's gonna pick it up? The people who push for this format to be changed don't donate jack shit, which is the most hilarious part to me. They don't practice what they preach. They keep talking about donating out of the kindness of our hearts, but they literally donate close to nothing year after year. It's a selfish intention disguised as a noble one. They're lazy people who wants to get all the rewards without having to work for them or spend on them. That's the real intention. The change isn't to benefit you nor the community. Oh hell no. It's to benefit themselves most. Of course, you can make the argument that we should have lives outside of this game and not be forced to spend all day on it. And you're right. But nobody's forcing you to do anything. But why should someone who puts in more effort not be rewarded appropriately for it? If you choose to spend more time with your family, your reward is stronger family ties. If you choose to spend more time on your job, then your reward is a pay raise. If you choose to spend more time playing the game, then your reward should be better items. These are all voluntary choices. No one can get the best of all worlds. There are opportunity costs for everything you do. Apart from him, there's also the other top donors, and I know for most of them, they're just gonna dump whatever they have farmed up for this contest and not bother anymore for the next one unless the format gets changed back, because there simply isn't enough of an incentive to spend over an hour every day farming on all 10 characters for 365 days a year just so we can donate everything for no reward apart from altruism. If you want to do charity work, go out and volunteer. Donate your money to charities instead, not virtual currency in a 20-year-old Flash game. People aren't going to starve to death because of a lack of gold or Z tokens. This is why I find the moral argument of donating out of the kindness of our hearts to be an extremely silly, irrelevant, and redundant argument. Furthermore, I also think there's nothing wrong with simply wanting a little something for your efforts. It's not being selfish, it's just simply wanting a reward for the time that you've spent grinding up the items, and there's nothing wrong with that. Why should we not expect something that we've worked, a little something in return in exchange for working so hard towards it for literally the entire year? It's only right that the players deserve a little reward. Now, let's look at it from the game company or business perspective. I know it's not something most people care about since we are the consumers after all, but I think this is quite closely linked with the longevity of the game in general, so it's important to talk about. AQ is 21 years at this point, and in recent years, we've been seeing more pay-to-win releases, like golden gift boxes and token packages. To quote the staff, these are mostly releases to help keep the lights on. At the end of the day, this is a business. If a business doesn't earn money, it's only a matter of time before it shutters its doors, and AQ is no exception. The donation events have always been the game's biggest moneymakers, and I think that's no secret, so why should that be changed to cater to people who contribute nothing to the longevity of the game? They don't want to spend money, which is fine, but they don't even want to spend time playing the game. How is the game going to survive if players don't even want to play it, much less spend on it? We keep asking for this and that to be changed, but how can that happen? How can the big boss Artix justify allocating or hiring more people for this game if it's not making enough money? It's common sense. Artix Entertainment is also no stranger to shutting down games that don't do as well as we've seen over the years. You might say that will never happen to AQ since it's the OG, but I think you're wrong. AQ, DF, and MQ were the big 3 OG games for Artix Entertainment, and MQ was shuttered anyway. What makes you think the same can't be done for AQ, considering how hard they are trying to push AQverse Infinity currently? Who's to say AQverse won't replace AQ as the OG in the future? If you guys want this game to continue staying up or even prosper, then you need to accept that the game needs to earn money, and having the donation event be a contest format is the best way to do so. Furthermore, if you are aware of the viral video released by Josh Strife Hayes a few months back, you will notice that Artix made a big announcement about it and literally sent out an email to everyone. But you'll notice that inside that very announcement and email, there was literally no line there asking us to check out the original game, which is Adventure Quest. All he talked about was AQ3D, AQverse, and even AQverse Infinity. There is literally zero respect for this game. So, tell me, does Artix still want to continue pumping money into this game if it's not going to make him money or at least break even? I think you guys should know the answer best. And last but not least, the perspective of free-to-play and casual players, which I'm sure is the majority of my audience as well as the player base in general. Yes, every single one of you will be able to get this once a year perma-rare set with this change. But at what cost, and is it worth it? Your whales and hardcore players lose the incentive to donate. With no one picking up the baton, results in a lower net total number of donations, which means you, as the casual player, gets lesser gold and tokens, and I know this is a huge source of gold and tokens for free-to-plays and casuals. You might then say, well, why not we just get more casuals to donate a small amount to make up the difference? It's not worth it because you're literally gambling with what little gold and tokens as a casual or free-to-play player has. Unlike the golden gift boxes, there's no pity system for the donation contest. If you end up with a bad item or an item that isn't suitable for your build, then that's it. You literally wasted everything you donated. Why would you want to gamble on this rather than save it up for something that already exists in the game and you know is 100% going to be what you want or need for your build? Something that already has info subs and showcases that you know is 100% going to be a good item. You might say, oh, the staff can just change the items if people hate it. Well, yes they can, but how long does that take? Last year's token Dono shield, the Devour Earth shield, is crap. And I think most, if not everyone, agrees that it needs to be changed. Here we are, almost a year later, and there's been no changes to the shield yet. Should we, as consumers, expect to wait a year or more for something we spend so much time, effort, and to some people, money to acquire? Wait a minute, we're talking about the gold donation here, not the token donation. Okay then, the Shadow Stalker set? Yep, nerfed for being too good. Again, a change pushed by the very same people that wants this contest format changed to a community drive. Are you starting to see a pattern now? Before, there wasn't any incentive for free-to-plays and casuals to donate. Now, there's no incentive for anyone to donate. Let's look at the items we got for the gold donation from the past 3 years, starting with the Bright Slayer items from 2020. Weapon has a pretty decent blind, but it wasn't anything special nor fantastic. We have plenty of other blind weapons in the game as well. Even if we don't include the clearly superior Alchemical Unity weapon, this was meh at best. It wasn't bad, but I don't think it was good enough to be a donation weapon. Shield is much better, giving you an Omni Alien power per hit blocked. It's a good effect and it's unique. Miscellaneous item is also great for dodge builds, but that's pretty niche. Overall, it's a set that focuses on dodge slash, which is nice and powerful at the end of the day, but it's not something that's universally used by every build. This is made worse by the fact that the same people pushing for the donation format changes are also the ones who want to nerf dodge slash. Ironic, right? I know. For 2021, we got a Boreal Cavalier set. Weapon inflicted prismatic burn, which is nice, but again, nothing fantastic or new compared to the other prismatic burn options we have in the game. Shield is basically similar to the logo shield, but with a set duration of 5 turns, a higher SP cost, and higher blocking. Logos is a rare golden gift box, which does almost the same thing for a lot less effort and money. And the miscellaneous item? Easily the most plain item in the set. I honestly don't even know how it stands out from any of the other miscellaneous items we have today. For 2022, we have the Shadow Stalker set. I honestly don't even remember what exactly it does now cause of the numerous changes. When it first came out, it was too weak because it was way too niched to activate its ability to deal void damage. Then it got buffed to make it useful against almost every boss in the game. They say it was too good and then nerfed it to only be useful against certain bosses and a new way of categorizing monsters that hasn't even been introduced yet into the game, after a whole year. So, it's essentially going to remain as this super niche item till they implement this categorization, which, if I'm being honest, is probably long forgotten already at this point. While none of the items from the sets the past 3 years are bad, they are extremely niche, and another point they have in common, they are not good enough that people are using them as their daily general carry. Are these the type of rewards we should be getting for our efforts and trouble? Is it worth spending so much time every day to farm and throw it all away on these rewards that everyone can get now, even those who contribute nothing? Why should I or anyone else donate anything at all when I can get all these for free now? How long more can we rely on these hardcore players to do the heavy lifting now that there's almost no incentive for them to do so anymore? You're willing to sacrifice more gold and token donations, which you can use to spend on items you know are going to be good and useful for your current build, in favor of some random items that yes, are going to be perma-rare, but based on current trends are going to be extremely niche and not good enough to be a daily carry. The contest is geared towards endgame players since the very start. It's for players who have already bought everything else they need in the game, whether it's for gold or tokens, and act as a gold/token sink. I cannot, in good conscience, recommend anyone not at endgame who has already purchased everything they need to waste their precious farmed gold gambling for items that may not even suit them. Why are we even trying to cater to these players who isn't even the target audience to begin with? These players are the beneficiaries, the target for donations to go to. They are not the people whom you should be expecting donations from. How can you even talk about wanting to cater this for them when the number one problem for casuals and underleveled players, which is the poor scaling at lower levels, hasn't even been solved yet? This change is insignificant to them and does nothing to solve their primary concerns playing the game at that level, but instead screws over your main target audience, which is those who are already at endgame. As such, I see this format to be an overall net loss for the pay-to-win, hardcore players, the AQ business, and the free-to-play casuals. I'm going to protest this by not donating a single piece of gold this time, and I think you should do so too so that they change it back to the original contest format. Sure, as a free-to-play casual, you're gonna lose out on that once a year perma-rare set, but in return, you'll likely get more gold and tokens, which you can spend on better items. I do think we'll still see a sizable amount of donations this year, since the change was announced so late and many will just want to dump what they already farmed up. But I think the consequences of this change will only really start to show the next year if they continue to do the same thing. I will still be taking part in the token donation contest since the format has remained unchanged. Do let me know what are your thoughts on this. Do you agree or disagree with me? And if you guys enjoy deep dive discussion videos like this, then be sure to give this video a thumbs up and of course subscribe to this channel if you guys want to see more of such future content. Till the next time, I'm your host Korban Gaming. Peace out.